I am about to tell you something that will make you angry, but anger is better than delusion. You are not unlucky. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are not held back by your job, your family, your finances, or your past. You are exactly where you deserve to be based on the choices you have been making every single day. You choose comfort over growth, and then you wonder why your life is not growing. You watch people younger than you, less educated than you, with fewer advantages than you, achieving things you only dream about, and you blame the system. But the system is not the problem. Your addiction to ease is the problem. Your refusal to do anything that makes you uncomfortable is the problem. And until you accept full responsibility for the fact that you have been choosing this life by avoiding hard things, nothing will ever change. Right now, at this very moment, you are capable of far more than you are doing. That is not an insult, that is not a criticism, that is a fact. And here is another fact that might sting a little bit. The reason you are not doing more, achieving more, becoming more, has nothing to do with your circumstances, your education, your background, or your resources. The reason is simple, and it is this: you have been choosing comfort over challenge for far too long. Let me tell you something that will change your perspective forever. The comfort zone is the most expensive place you will ever live. You pay for it with your dreams. You pay for it with your potential. You pay for it with the person you could have become. Every single day that you choose the easy path, the familiar path, the path that requires nothing of you, you are making a payment on a life of mediocrity. And the tragedy is this: most people do not realize what they are paying until it is too late. But here's the truth that nobody wants to hear, the truth that separates those who achieve extraordinary things from those who simply wish they could. Hard things are not obstacles to your success. Hard things are the pathway to your success. Difficulty is not something to avoid, it is something to run toward. Because you were born to do hard things. That is not motivational rhetoric, that is biological fact. Think about this for a moment. Your ancestors survived ice ages. They fought off predators with nothing but primitive tools. They crossed oceans not knowing what was on the other side. They built civilizations from nothing. They endured famines, plagues, wars, and hardships that would break most modern people in a matter of days. And every single one of them had to do hard things, not occasionally, but constantly, just to survive another day. That DNA is inside you right now. That same capacity for resilience, for endurance, for doing what seems impossible. It runs through your veins. You are not weak, you are not fragile. You are the product of the strongest, most adaptable, most resilient human beings who ever lived. Because the weak ones, the ones who could not handle difficulty, they did not survive long enough to become your ancestors. So when you feel like giving up, when you feel like something is too hard, when you want to quit and go back to what is comfortable, remember this: you come from a line of people who refused to quit when things got hard. Difficulty is your inheritance. Challenge is your birthright. And the modern world, with all its comfort and convenience, has made you forget who you really are. Here is what society has taught you, and it is completely wrong: that ease equals happiness, that comfort equals success, that the goal of life is to work hard now so you can relax later. This is perhaps the most destructive lie you will ever believe, because the truth is exactly the opposite. Ease does not create happiness. It creates boredom. Comfort does not create success. It creates stagnation. And the more you seek to avoid difficulty, the more difficult your life becomes. Let me prove this to you with your own experience. Think back to the greatest achievements of your life. Think about the moments you are most proud of, the accomplishments that still make you smile when you remember them. Were any of those things easy? Did any of them come without effort, without struggle, without moments when you wanted to give up? Of course not. Every single thing you are proud of, every skill you possess, every achievement that matters came through difficulty. You learned to walk by falling down hundreds of times. You learned to talk by making sounds that made no sense until eventually they did. You learned to read by struggling through words that looked like random symbols. You learned to ride a bicycle by scraping your knees and getting back on. And at the time, every single one of those things felt hard. Some of them felt impossible, but you did them anyway. Not because you had more willpower back then, not because you were tougher as a child, but because you had not yet learned to fear difficulty. You had not yet been taught that hard things should be avoided. Here is the principle that will change everything for you. Temporary discomfort creates permanent capability. Every time you do something hard, you become someone more capable. Every time you push through resistance, you build capacity. Every time you choose the difficult path, you strengthen the part of you that can handle difficulty. And over time, the things that once seemed impossible become normal. The challenges that once terrified you become routine. The goals that once felt out of reach become your starting point. But the reverse is also true, and this is where most people destroy their own potential. Temporary comfort creates permanent limitation. Every time you choose the easy way, you weaken yourself. Every time you avoid what is hard, you reduce your capacity. Every time you quit when things get uncomfortable, you train yourself to be someone who quits. And over time, your tolerance for difficulty shrinks. Your capacity for challenge diminishes. And the person you could have become stays locked inside, never released, never realized, never given the chance to exist. This is why avoiding hard things is the most dangerous decision you can make, because you do not just lose the opportunity in front of you, you lose the person you would have become by taking it. You do not just miss out on the achievement, you miss out on the growth. And here is what nobody tells you. The regret of not trying is far more painful than the temporary discomfort of doing hard things. Ask anyone in their final years what they regret most, and they will never tell you they wish they had taken the easier path. They will tell you they wish they had been braver. They will tell you they wish they had tried. They will tell you they wish they had done the hard things when they had the chance. So the question is not whether you are capable of hard things. You are. The question is whether you will build the habits that attract them into your life. Now, here is something most people never understand about success and achievement. Hard things do not just randomly appear in your life. They come to you based on what you are asking for through your daily actions. Your habits are sending out signals every single day, and those signals are attracting specific types of opportunities, challenges, and results. If your habits are built around comfort and convenience, that is exactly what you will attract. More comfort, more convenience, and eventually more stagnation and regret. But when your habits are built around challenge and growth, something remarkable happens. You start attracting bigger opportunities. People notice you differently. Doors open that were previously closed. Not because the universe is rewarding you with magic, but because you have become someone capable of handling what comes next. You have built the strength, the discipline, the resilience that makes you ready for harder things. And life has a way of giving you exactly what you are prepared to handle. This is the attraction principle in action. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. And what you are is determined by what you do every single day. Your habits are not just routines, they are votes for the type of person you are becoming. Every action is a statement about your identity. Every choice is either moving you toward strength or toward weakness. There is no neutral ground. You are either building yourself up or breaking yourself down with every decision you make. So let me give you the 3 core habits that will completely transform your relationship with difficulty. These are not complicated. They do not require special equipment or unique circumstances, but they do require commitment. And if you implement these 3 habits consistently, I guarantee you that 6 months from now, you will not recognize the person you have become. The first habit is what I call the morning commitment ritual. And here is why this matters more than anything else you will do all day. The first hour of your morning sets the tone for the next 16 hours. If you start your day by hitting the snooze button, checking your phone, scrolling through messages, and easing into your day, you have already told yourself that comfort comes first. You have already established that when things are hard, you will choose the easy way. And that pattern will repeat itself all day long. But when you start your day by doing something physically challenging before you do anything else, you make a deposit into what I call your willpower bank account. You prove to yourself, before the day even begins, that you are someone who does hard things. Maybe it is 50 push-ups. Maybe it is a cold shower. Maybe it is a run around your neighborhood. The specific activity matters less than the principle you are choosing discomfort on purpose. First thing, before your mind has time to negotiate with you, this single habit creates a psychological advantage that carries through everything else you do. When that difficult conversation comes up at work, you handle it because you already proved you can do hard things today. When that project feels overwhelming, you push through because your morning already established your identity as someone who does not quit. The morning commitment ritual is not about fitness, it is about building the mental foundation for everything else. The second core habit is the deliberate discomfort practice. This is where you intentionally choose one hard thing every single day that you would normally avoid. Not something that circumstances force on you, something you choose on purpose, something that makes you uncomfortable, something that requires courage, effort, or facing a fear. For some people, this might be making a sales call they have been putting off. For others, it might be having an honest conversation they have been avoiding. It could be learning a new skill that feels awkward and unfamiliar. It could be saying no to something you want, but no you should not have. The specific choice matters less than the practice of choosing difficulty deliberately. Here is what happens when you do this consistently. Your tolerance for discomfort expands. Think of it like building a muscle. The first time you lift a heavy weight, it feels impossible. But if you do it every day, that same weight becomes manageable. Then it becomes easy. Then you need a heavier weight to feel challenged. Your capacity for difficulty works exactly the same way. The things that feel hard today will feel normal in 3 months if you practice them daily. And the things that feel impossible today will feel merely hard in 6 months. This is the accumulation effect that most people never experience because they quit too soon. They try something difficult once, it feels uncomfortable, and they go back to what is easy. But when you commit to one deliberately difficult choice every single day, those choices compound, they build on each other, and within weeks, you will notice something extraordinary. You start looking for challenges instead of avoiding them. You start feeling uncomfortable when things are too easy. You start craving the growth that comes from difficulty. The third habit is the evening evaluation system. And this is what turns random effort into systematic progress. Every evening, before you go to sleep, you spend 5 minutes reviewing your day through one specific lens. What hard things did I do today? Not what did I accomplish, not what went well, but specifically, what challenges did I face and how did I respond? You write down the difficult choice you made during your deliberate discomfort practice. You note the moments when you wanted to quit but did not. You acknowledge the times you chose the harder right instead of the easier wrong. And here is the critical part. You celebrate those moments, not with rewards that undermine your progress, but with genuine acknowledgement that you are becoming someone different, someone stronger, someone more capable. Then you plan tomorrow's challenge. You decide, before tomorrow arrives, what your one deliberately difficult thing will be. You do not leave it to chance. You do not wait to see how you feel. You decide now. When your willpower is strong, what you will do tomorrow when your willpower might be weak. This evening ritual creates a reflection to action cycle that accelerates your growth exponentially. You are not just doing hard things randomly. You are systematically building a life around challenge. You are creating a feedback loop where every difficult choice makes the next one easier. And over time, this becomes who you are. Now, let me explain what is actually happening inside your brain when you implement these habits, because understanding this will give you the power to stick with them when things get tough. Right now, you have a set of automatic responses to difficulty that have been programmed into you over years, maybe decades. When something hard appears in front of you, your current programming says, resist it, avoid it, postpone it, find a reason why now is not the right time. Tell yourself you will do it later when you feel more ready, more motivated, more prepared. This is not weakness, this is conditioning. And the good news is this: anything that has been conditioned can be reconditioned. You can build new programming, you can create new automatic responses. And the way you do this is through repetition combined with awareness. Every time you face something difficult and you choose to move toward it instead of away from it, you are laying down new neural pathways. You are teaching your brain a new pattern. And after enough repetitions, this new pattern becomes automatic. Neuroscientists have studied this extensively, and here's what they have found. It takes approximately 21 days of consistent action to form a new habit, but it takes 90 days for that habit to become part of your permanent lifestyle. This is what I call the 21-90 rule. The first 21 days, you are fighting against your old programming. You have to use willpower and discipline to make yourself do the hard thing. But if you can push through those first 3 weeks, something shifts. The behavior starts to feel more natural. The resistance decreases. And by day 90, you are not the same person who started this process. You have fundamentally rewired how you respond to challenge. But here is what you need to understand. This rewiring only happens if you are consistent. Missing one day might not destroy your progress, but missing 3 days in a row will send you back almost to the beginning. Your brain is always looking for the path of least resistance. And if you give it permission to go back to the old way, it will take that permission and run with it. So during these first 90 days especially, you protect your new habits like your life depends on them. Because in many ways, the quality of your life does depend on them. Let me tell you about Gregory, because his story illustrates exactly how this transformation works in real life. Gregory was a carpenter, 42 years old, running a small construction business that was barely surviving. He was talented with his hands, his clients loved his work, but his business was stuck. And when I talked to him, it became clear why. Gregory was avoiding every difficult aspect of running a business. He was not making sales calls because rejection felt uncomfortable. He was not having tough conversations with clients about payment because confrontation felt hard. He was not raising his prices even though he was undercharging because asking for more money felt awkward. He had built his entire business around avoiding difficulty, and it was slowly killing his dreams. So Gregory made a decision. He implemented the 3 core habits we just discussed. Every morning at 5:30, before he went to any job site, he did 100 push-ups. Not 50, not when he felt like it, 100 push-ups. Every single morning, no exceptions. This was his morning commitment ritual. It took him 15 minutes at first because he had to break it into sets. But it proved to him before sunrise that he could do hard things. Then he chose his deliberate discomfort practice. Every single day, he would make one difficult business call, either calling a potential client or following up on an unpaid invoice or having a conversation he had been avoiding. Just one. But it had to happen every day. And every evening, he wrote down what he did, how it felt, and what he learned. That was his evening evaluation system. The first 2 weeks were brutal. Gregory told me he wanted to quit almost every day. His body ached from the push-ups. His stomach twisted before every difficult phone call. He felt like he was torturing himself for no reason. But he had committed to 90 days. So he kept going. Around day 23, something changed. The push-ups still hurt, but they did not feel impossible anymore. The difficult calls still made him nervous, but he noticed he was recovering faster afterward. He was not dwelling on them all day like he used to. By day 45, he realized he was actually looking forward to his morning ritual. It made him feel strong, and the business calls that used to terrify him were becoming almost routine. By day 90, Gregory had transformed, not just his habits, but his entire identity. He had raised his prices by 30% and not lost a single client. He had collected on invoices that were 6 months overdue. He had landed 3 major contracts that he never would have pursued before because they required difficult negotiations. His revenue had increased by 60%, but more importantly, he had become someone different, someone who saw a challenge and thought, I can handle that. That was 3 years ago. Today, Gregory runs a construction company with 12 employees. He bids on projects that used to intimidate him. He has difficult conversations before they become problems. And he told me something profound. The hard things did not get easier. I got stronger. And now I go looking for the challenges that used to make me hide. This is the compounding return system that changes everything. When you avoid hard things, they pile up and become harder. That difficult conversation you postpone becomes a crisis 3 months later. That skill you refuse to learn becomes a career limitation 5 years later. That discipline you will not develop becomes a life of regret 20 years later. Hard things that are avoided get harder. But when you do hard things consistently, the opposite happens. They get easier. Not because the challenges change, but because you change. Your capacity expands, your confidence grows, your skills sharpen. And 6 months of embracing difficulty will move you further than 6 years of avoiding it. So here is what I need you to understand about the next 6 months of your life. You have a choice right now that will determine everything. You can finish reading this, feel motivated for about 48 hours, and then slowly drift back into the comfortable patterns that have kept you stuck. Or you can make a decision right now, in this moment, that the next 180 days are going to be different. Not because you feel ready, not because circumstances are perfect, but because you have finally accepted that the life you want is on the other side of hard things. Let me be specific about what this looks like. Tomorrow morning, you are going to wake up and your brain is going to offer you every excuse imaginable. You are going to feel tired. You're going to tell yourself that you can start next week. You are going to negotiate with yourself about why today is not the right day. And this is the moment where everything is decided, not by what you feel, but by what you do despite what you feel. The morning commitment ritual is not about motivation. It is about making a promise to yourself and keeping it before the world asks anything else of you. When you complete that first morning challenge, something shifts in your psychology. You have evidence, not hope, not intention, but actual proof that you are capable of doing something difficult. And you carry that evidence into every interaction, every decision, every moment of your day. When someone challenges you, when a problem emerges, when fear tries to stop you, you have already established that you are someone who pushes through resistance. That single morning action creates a momentum that makes everything else possible. But momentum is fragile in the beginning. This is why the deliberate discomfort practice cannot be optional. You cannot do it when you feel like it. You cannot skip it because you had a hard day. The entire point is to do it especially when you do not want to, because that is when you are building real strength. Think of it this way. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you are teaching yourself that discomfort is something to fear. But every time you choose to lean into difficulty, you are teaching yourself that discomfort is temporary and you are capable of handling it. After 30 days of this practice, you will notice something remarkable. Problems that used to consume your thoughts for hours will barely register. Conversations that used to take days of preparation will happen spontaneously. Projects that used to feel overwhelming will seem manageable, not because the world changed, but because your baseline for difficulty has shifted. What used to be your maximum effort becomes your normal operating level. And suddenly you have capacity for challenges that were previously unimaginable. This is when the real transformation begins. Most people never get here because they quit in the first 2 weeks when everything still feels hard. But if you push through to this point, you enter what I call the expansion phase. This is where you stop just surviving hard things and start seeking them out. You begin to realize that every significant upgrade in your life requires you to become uncomfortable. Better relationships require difficult conversations. Better income requires learning new skills that feel awkward at first. Better health requires doing things your body initially resists. There is no path to extraordinary that does not go through uncomfortable, and here is what nobody tells you about this phase. It becomes addictive, not in a destructive way, but in a powerful way. Once you experience the satisfaction of doing something you thought you could not do, once you feel the surge of confidence that comes from facing your fears, once you see the tangible results of pushing through resistance, you cannot go back to a comfortable life. It feels empty. It feels like dying slowly. You start to crave the growth that only comes from challenge. This is what happened to Sarah, a teacher who spent 15 years playing it safe. She taught the same curriculum, avoided conflict with administrators, never volunteered for leadership roles. She was comfortable, secure, and absolutely miserable. When she started the 90-day challenge, her deliberate discomfort practice was speaking up in staff meetings. Just once per meeting, she would contribute an idea, even if her voice shook. For the first month, it was terrifying. By month 2, it was merely uncomfortable. By month 3, people were coming to her after meetings, asking for her input on decisions. Within a year, she was department head. Within 2 years, she was assistant principal, not because she suddenly became more talented, but because she became someone willing to be uncomfortable in pursuit of growth. The evening evaluation system is what turned Sarah's random acts of courage into systematic transformation. Every night she documented not just what she did, but how she felt before, during, and after. She noticed patterns. She saw that her fear was always worse in anticipation than in reality. She recognized that every time she pushed through discomfort, the next challenge felt slightly less intimidating. This awareness created a feedback loop that accelerated her progress exponentially. Now here is the truth that brings everything together. You are going to fail multiple times. You are going to miss days. You are going to choose comfort when you meant to choose growth. You are going to disappoint yourself. And this is where most people quit. They miss one day and they tell themselves they have failed, so they might as well give up entirely. But failure is not missing one day. Failure is using that one missed day as permission to quit forever. The strongest people are not the ones who never fall down. They are the ones who get back up immediately. They do not waste time in guilt or shame. They do not spiral into self-criticism. They simply acknowledge what happened, understand why it happened, and make a different choice next time. This resilience, this ability to bounce back from setbacks, is itself a skill that you build through practice, and it is perhaps the most valuable skill you will ever develop. So here is your path forward. Not someday, not when you feel ready, starting tomorrow morning. You are going to do something physically challenging before you do anything else. You are going to choose one deliberately difficult thing during your day, and you are going to evaluate your progress before you sleep for 90 days. No exceptions, unless you are physically unable to move. And on day 91, you are going to wake up as someone completely different, someone who has proven to themselves that hard things are not obstacles but opportunities, someone who has built the capacity to handle whatever comes next. Your ancestors survived impossible circumstances to give you this life. They endured things you cannot imagine so that you would have opportunities they could never dream of. And the greatest way to honor them is not to waste those opportunities on comfort and convenience. It is to use them to become everything you are capable of becoming You were born to do hard things. Now go prove it.